This morning our passage is Acts 1 verses 42 to 47, and it's a spirit-filled community. What would a spirit-filled community look like? Or to put it another way, what would be the signs of a spirit-filled community? Listen to verse 43. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and signs were being performed through the apostles. When we hear that and we think of wonders and signs, we think of amazing things. But there's really three things here of a spirit-filled community. Listen, the first thing is, verse 42, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship and to prayer and the breaking of bread. The first thing is they devote themselves to meeting together, but also to connection with each other, and devoted to the apostles' teaching. That is, devoted to the teaching of Jesus, devoted to teaching about Jesus and the gospel and what that means in our lives, devoted to the Bible. That's the first thing about the spirit-filled community, they're devoted to the Bible. The second thing is in verse 44. All the believers were together and they held everything in common, and they sold their possessions and distributed all to those in need. They're a generous community. They give and they're generous. Verse 46, verse 47 is they enjoyed the favour of all people. The third thing, and every day the Lord added to their number those being saved. People came to know them, and people came to know Jesus through them. So every day people were being saved. There's three things about the spirit-filled community. They devote themselves to the apostles' teaching. They're generous, and every day people are being saved and are being caught into the community and turned towards Jesus. Isn't that an interesting thing to hear, that there's no dichotomy between being generous or having social action and caring for others, and between people coming to know the Lord Jesus? And isn't it interesting also to see that the many signs and wonders include simple things like being devoted to the teaching of God, people being saved, and being generous. Very practical things that are signs of a spirit-filled community. Some people want to say the form of the church is what matters. We should get back to the house church. Early days, it says here, they met, all the believers together, and they met in people's houses. Every day they met in people's houses and in the temple. And they took bread from house to house. Of course, other people will say the form of church should be in the building, and we'll meet around the building, and we're having trouble meeting now. But the point is, of course, it's not about the form of church. It doesn't really matter about where it takes place. It's about those characteristics of the spirit-filled church. The simplicity of being devoted to the apostles' teaching, prayer, generosity, and people coming to know the Lord Jesus and being saved. That's it for today.